You've seen it done with Pokémon cards, concert tickets, and even popcorn buckets, but now scalping has come for the book community too. And guys, I don't think it's letting go. These prices are eye-watering. So before I show you how bad this has gotten in the book world, and I have a personal story to tell, let me explain exactly what scalping is so we're on the same page. Scalping in terms of consumer goods is when people buy large quantities of high demand, brand new products or tickets immediately upon release to then sell them at inflated prices very quickly. Scalpers of concert tickets and other online items use automated bots to buy up vast quantities in seconds, way faster than you can. People who scalp from stores go in person when the store adds goods to their shelves. They will then buy as many as they possibly can. Sometimes they get a tip off when the products are on the shelves, other times they join Discord servers to find out, and then they'll wait for hours outside the store just to get there first. Because all of these products or tickets have then been bought up, people who want them have no choice but to buy them at inflated scalper prices on reseller websites or in other stores, or go without. For some, this means they can't afford to watch their favorite music artist in concert or get the latest thing in their fandom because they simply can't afford it. In the case of Pokémon cards, kids go without because there's literally no stock left in store for them to buy. Aside from the high prices, these types of tactics tend to make supply low while demand remains high, meaning scalpers can list items at very high prices and people will pay for it because they wanted it anyway and don't want to miss out. The types of people who do this are not looking to collect or are even fans of the end product, generally speaking. They just want to make a lot of money from it and fast. Scalpers are pretty universally seen as predatory, taking advantage of loose rules and easy tactics to make a lot of money very quickly on well-loved fandoms. So, when it comes to books, what does this look like? The book world has scalpers. Let me be clear about that. But they work in slightly different ways. The items they go for are limited collector's editions of books. These typically come from subscription boxes because supply is already low and demand is already high. Supply is already low with these subscription boxes due to the subscription box model, which might be a video for another day. Essentially, subscription boxes like Fairyloot or Owlcrate use a limited subscription business model, which means that they offer a restricted number of theme-based boxes per month. To be able to get this subscription box, you need to sign up to a waitlist and then you'll be emailed when they have an available spot so that you can join. We generally don't know how many of these boxes they offer at any one time or how many slots they have on their list, so we don't know how many special editions of one book there may be in supply. But the idea is that it's limited, and you have to be in the club to get it. So because supply is already low because there are a limited number of these books made, and demand is high because there's a sense of FOMO if you can only get it with the subscription, almost like it's invite only, then this is a prime target for scalpers. In the case of the book world though, it's much harder for scalpers to buy huge quantities of these books. After all, there's a realistically limited number of accounts they could create before getting caught pushing it. But let me be clear, just because the quantity of products is small doesn't mean they're not scalpers. They are still getting the book and then immediately selling it at hugely inflated prices. That's what a scalper does. So let's look at some specific examples, starting with one flagged by a lovely person in my Discord community. Thank you, Jen. This is the book subscription box called Smut and Sip. It's pretty new, at around a year old, and it essentially delivers romance books with a certain level of spice and a mocktail recipe card to go with it. Like a lot of other subscription boxes, there's a waitlist and then an invite before you get access to the subscription. Again, low supply, high demand. This is a book that was in their January book box this year, Nightshade by Autumn Woods. Now, I wasn't aware, perhaps because I've been away from Instagram for a while, but apparently this book went viral when it was released in July last year, so keep that in mind when you look at what I'm about to show you. So, the book comes out in January 2026. Here are some of the prices you can find for the book on Vinted. £180, £300, £260. This isn't just happening on Vinted. You can find the same sorts of prices on eBay too. That is a hefty price to pay for one book. And you might be wondering, well, surely people aren't paying these prices. Surely they're just sitting there unsold. I'm sorry to say, people are paying. So, does this really count as scalping? Maybe it's just the odd person getting their subscription box and selling it on because they don't want to read the book. Or maybe it's just people harmlessly selling one book on Vinted at that price because, well, everyone else is doing it, so why not? First of all, people who don't actually want the book but have it could sell their book and maybe make a couple of pounds to make themselves feel better about having to deal with the post office. But this kind of markup is obscene. Secondly, let's take a look at this seller. Here they are selling various special edition books at a variety of inflated prices. Some are worse than others. Now let's look at their sold items, because this rabbit hole goes deeper and I'm thankful eBay has something like this in place where you can see sold listings. There's quite a lot here. So let's pay particular attention to these 4 listings of The Wolf King. There are a few things to pay attention to here. One is the stock image FairyLoot uses to promote this book. Another is the word pre-sale. This particular book was not part of FairyLoot's monthly subscription box. It was instead sold on their website. If you do subscribe to the box though, you get to buy this book early. If they then have any remaining copies left after this point, they will go on sale to the general public around a day later. So back to the listing. This person has sold 4 of these books on the 31st of January 2026. Here's what this tells me. 1, they have 4 FairyLoot accounts because you can only buy 1 book per account in the early access sale, which means they're taking the spot of at least 3 other real people who would love to own these books or have a subscription for the sole purpose of reselling them immediately with a huge markup, which is scalping. And 2, they're confirming these purchases and then listing them very soon afterwards before they even get the books themselves. In the listing for one of their pre-sale books, which sold, they've said they will be dispatching on or before the 28th of February. In other words, once they actually receive the book from FairyLoot, who have said they will ship between February and March, which means they don't know what condition the books are in, and neither do the buyers. The buyers just want them, so they're willing to pay more than double the price to get them. This is happening with almost every single book box company, from FairyLoot to Illumicrate and the Lock Library. If I'm honest, guys, I was a little overwhelmed making this video because the more I looked, the more I found, and it just makes me so sad to see that we've gotten to this point where people are signing up to these book boxes and getting exclusive access to special editions just to immediately resell them at extortionate prices, sometimes before the books have even been sent to them. Let's look at these prices. Just to hammer it home, for Smut and Sip, if you wanted the book-only subscription box, it's $24.99 a month. In that, you get a special edition book. If you want the box, where you get extra bookish goodies, it's $32.99. We'll look at the sold Nightshade books on eBay just to keep it fair, and I'll just go through them here in order. Here's the full box. This person paid $32.99 for this as a reminder. They sold it for £145 and 8 pence. That's a markup of £112 and 9 pence. The next one is book only. They paid $24.99 and sold it for £156.70. They made £131 and 71 pence. And just to round us off nicely, this person paid $24.99 for the book only and they sold it for £257 and 5 pence, making them £232 and 6 pence. That's rough. So you might be wondering why I'm so bothered about all of this. Well, aside from the fact that people are preying on other people's love for something, gaming the system and rigging it so that people will pay the prices no matter what, I've had my own experience with scalping. Back in 2022, Illumicrate announced a special edition of the Locked Tomb series that they were going to sell on their website. Just like the Wolf King I showed you earlier, this would be available to box subscribers first in a pre-sale, and then it would be available to the general public. £72 is already quite a lot for a set of books, but Gideon the Ninth is my favourite, so I was willing to part with £72 if I could get these very cool versions. I didn't have an Illumicrate subscription at the time, so I needed to wait for the general sale, and guys, it was the most stressful thing. It was like buying concert tickets. I wish I recorded it at the time so I could show you. But from what I can remember, you're put in a waiting room, and then you get access to the website when it's your turn, and only then can you buy. There are a limited number left after the box subscribers get theirs, so I felt like there was a lot of pressure. I hated it. Let's just say your girl didn't get the books. By the time I got to the site, they were gone. I was really sad about that, I'm gonna be honest. So my husband went on eBay to see if he could buy them for me from a reseller, even if it was slightly more expensive, but the prices were out of control. I can't show you the exact prices because eBay's sold history only goes back so far, but they weren't far off the prices they're being sold for today. Of course, we weren't going to spend that much on these books. Not only could we not realistically afford them, but they simply weren't worth it. Favorite book or not? Now, the eagle-eyed among you might see these books sitting behind me, so how did I get them? Well, lucky for me, because there was such a large number of people hoping to get these books, they set up a Google form, which I actually still have the email for, and said that if there were any cancellations or leftovers, they'd let us know. So I managed to get a set in the end at the original price, but the whole process, from the stressful nature of the wait list to the scalpers, made me rethink any kind of drive I had to buy special editions like this again. So if we care about this, which I think we should, what can be done to prevent it? I think, personally, that scalpers can't be completely prevented, but they can be significantly reduced. The most important thing is for companies selling special editions and subscription boxes to be a bit more proactive. The solution is likely complicated and needs a new system and planning to be put in place, and might not be easy for some of the smaller or newer book boxes, but I do think it needs to be done. I'd hate for us to keep going, this getting worse and worse until we get to a point where people are buying up special editions from the works and selling them immediately on Vinted for double the price. Oh wait, that's already happening. As users and buyers, we have our own part to play. Sure, we can report these sellers on places like Vinted and eBay, but nothing will happen because the platforms find no violation. Trust me, people have tried. The biggest thing we can do is not buy. Stop paying these prices and don't buy from them at all. It's not worth it. Keep your money in your pocket and don't give scalpers even more reason to hike the price up more and more. So what do you think? Are you bothered by book scalpers, or do you have a different opinion entirely? Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you next time for another video.